welcome to MNFT Freedom. This is episode number 13, and I will start out by just apologizing. Our guest for tonight could not make it, but we do have them scheduled for a later date, and it should be pretty awesome. But I figured I'd pop one anyway, just to make sure that everyone knows that hey, we're moving on, right? We're moving forward. One of the things I thought would be a good topic to just kind of touch on is the state of the just everything right now, right? We're looking at inflation rising. We're looking at the threat of recession coming, and what does that mean for all of us? So if we take a look at what the target is or what the government is doing in order to reduce that inflation rate, they are increasing interest rates. So they have increased rates. I think yesterday was the ninth rate hike. And the whole idea there is to increase the interest rate to reduce the climb in inflation. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but if you're an economist, you probably get it. I'm not an economist. But really, what does this mean for us? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for you? Look at the last time we were in a market like this. It was 2008. Sometimes some of you may be, too young to remember that or even know of it or experienced it. But if you looked at the market at that point in time, that 2008 to 2010, it was a very similar fear kind of looming as what we've got right now. And what that meant to people was, for me, I was, just worried about staying afloat, right? Being through that and seeing what the outcome was and is. I know that now my target is to look at things as being on sale, right? Being at a discount. And, they're saying that there's a possibility that we're going to be in a recession later this year. It might be a minor recession, or it could be, something that comes at the end of the year and it's a prolonged recession into 2024. So what should you do to prepare yourself? First of all, you got to be, wise. You got to look at everything that we've talked about in the previous 12 episodes and, take that to heart. How can you look at your budget? How can you cut those corners? How can you, be able to, survive, right? And there is a way, there's where there's a will, there's a way, right? You got to start looking at, cheaper alternatives to your regular grocery spending, and how can you cut costs? What fee services that you have to that use on a monthly basis that you really don't use that you could probably cut. How can you cut your utility costs? Things like that. Those are all things that you want to take a look at. You want to, kind of break it down. That budget that we went over a few weeks ago, that's a good way to start. You can put everything down there and you can kind of get an idea of where you're at, right? You can see, how is this going to be affected if, something drastic happens, or how will this be affected if prices increase, right? How can I, cut corners wherever I can and, put a little money aside. And the reason that I say you want to put money aside is because if you look at where the stock market, in '08, I was, well, actually it was '09, I was introduced to Bitcoin, but I didn't really get in at that point in time. But I was invested in the stock market, and I kind of put everything on pause, right? Everything was like scary, unknown. We didn't know what the hell was coming or what was going on. And, I just kind of stopped, right? If I would have taken the initiative and looked at, different stocks that are just blue chip stocks, the major stocks that are well established, that aren't going anywhere, and invested in those during that time. The outcome when that ended and into 2012, 13, 14, 15, all the way up to, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. Um, I mean, it would have been huge, huge gains. So really what I'm saying is, you got to look at your budget. You have to kind of cut those corners where you can. You need to be able to take any extra money that you have and find a safe haven for it. And is that? It may not be the stock market for you. For you, it might be, a CD or a U.S. savings bond, which, right now they're saying is, the way to go. But I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not telling you to do one thing or the other. I'm just saying that, when you're in a market like this, it's a good opportunity to have an entry point in whatever at a reduced cost. And that could actually pan out over the long run to your favor. So with that, that's kind of, what I wanted to go into. I'm not going to go into anything in detail or show you charts or anything like that. I think that's something that if you have questions on, by all means, definitely reach out, ask. We can, walk you through, what our thoughts and ideas are. But that's all they are, is thoughts and ideas. Nobody truly knows what that, specific whatever, whether it's a, crypto project, stock project, whatever it is, what it's going to do in the long run. All we have is the historical data of those that we can reference and get an idea of what we believe will happen. There's been, concerns and things about, regulations for the U.S. government and what they're doing with Web3. I still think that, the legitimate projects will pan out, but, they're cracking down as they should. It's no different than what you see in the stock market. You're not going to see, owners of Fortune 500 companies come out and claim massive gains if you buy into their stock, right? That should be the same here in Web3, where, the a legitimate project is not going to come out and claim, hey, we're going to, 1000x over the next 6 months or a year or a month or a week or whatever. They need to come out and they need to do what, we have been doing, myself and the team at Heroes. We pretty much lay out the facts, and that's what any legitimate business will do. This is what we're building. This is what we've done. This is how we did it. And this is what's coming. Right. And if you find value in that, then by all means, enter a position. If you don't, right. That's the way it should be. It should be something that you can confidently feel comfortable putting your money in. And it should be something that you feel comfortable putting your money in and expecting it to be long term, right? If you are of the mindset that you're going to buy something today and be rich tomorrow, that ain't going to happen. Definitely not in this market. But if you take, the ideal candidate here is Warren Buffett. You look at Warren Buffett and his strategy to how he got to where he is, and all it was is DYOR. He did his own research. He, looked at different companies and he bought in, and he bought them as if he were buying them for himself as a, owner, right? He looked at, whatever stock it was. He did all the research. He said, is this a company that if I were unbelievably wealthy and I could just outright buy it, is this a company that I would want to buy and just hang on to? And that's how he started his portfolio. That's how he continued his portfolio. And that's how he's running his portfolio today. And he is one of the richest men in the world by doing just that, by saying, hey, I find a lot of value in this. I see that it has a lot of potential for growth. It can withstand, the test of time. And with that, I feel comfortable putting my money into that and holding it long term, right? Now, what does that mean if you see, a sudden spike? Well, that's where investment strategy comes in. You have to have a goal, right? When you are getting into something, is your goal that you're going to sit on it and hold it for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? Or is your goal that, you're waiting for a certain price point, and when you hit that price point, you're going to take out some profit in order to cover your initial expenses, right? You have to have your own investment strategy. You have to have it set up in a way that you can follow and be diligent about following, because I will tell you, I am the most guilty of all of not following my own investment strategies. And part of that comes in with greed, right? It happened to me on the last bull run. I jumped in quite a few projects, but some of them really went up, and I'm like, oh man, they're going to keep going. And instead of getting out when I should have, I rode the wave, and I rode it all the way to the top. And then I'm like, okay, well, there's just a little dip cut, here. So, it's consolidating. It's going to keep going, but it didn't, right? It just kept coming down and coming down and coming down. And, if I would have stuck to my initial strategy, I would have had my initial money taken out, where whatever was left in there, I wasn't emotionally attached to. And that's, if that's your strategy. If your strategy is, okay, well, I'm investing today so that in 20 years, I'm going to be set up, right? Well, that's a different strategy. That's, I don't really care what the price is doing. I don't care what the chart says. All I care about is that whatever I'm investing in, whether it's a stock, or, crypto, or, NFT, or whatever it is, that in 20 years, it's still going to be around. I mean, that's the key, is you want to make sure that if that's your target, is that longevity, where you just kind of, set it and forget it, then you want to make sure that you're keeping up with what they're building, what's going on, what they're doing, right? So, those are just some little pointers that, I felt like would be a good thing to share. I know we have a special guest coming up in the future here that I was hoping to have tonight. Scheduling issues, something came up, couldn't have that. However, we will definitely be having that, and it will be a pretty amazing episode. I believe it will be, because they always come up really great when that happens. But yeah, I think that's all I've got for tonight. And I think that little bit of, information, hopefully serves you well. And if you're smart, you'll cut corners wherever you can to set money aside that you can do something with to help make you more money. And how the whole idea there is have your money work for you, not you work for your money, right? We all start off working for our money, but that next step is getting that money to work for you. And how do you do that? How do you make it make it really just replace your day to day 9 to 5 job with passive income from your money, making money? And I think, when we're looking at the current state of the economy and with the way things are going, it is very scary. I get that. But it's also it's an opportunity that many will benefit from, that are, paying attention, that are jumping on and getting into things while everything is super cheap. So with that, you have questions, comments, please, by all means, leave them below. We'll get back to you. Feel free to DM me. I'm always around. I pop on the Telegram daily, multiple times. I'm on Twitter at least once a day where, just checking in. But nonetheless, if you have any questions or concerns, reach out to me. We can talk it through, or maybe we'll even have you on if they're really good questions. We can share them and share our personal experiences if we have them. And if we don't, maybe we have you on when we have a specialist on that is unique to whatever those questions are related to. So I appreciate you all and thank you. Stay safe, and we'll see you next week.